Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dating Talk Show. Happy New Year to you, 2018. It's been a while, and hope you guys had a good Easter. And welcome back. We've got some great interviews lined up for the next few weeks, so subscribe to this channel till you get to that bell notification so that you'll get a notification of when a talk show has been uploaded. Right, let's get into it. So today we have on our show a special guest with the name of Kelly Millar, who is a personal branding and transformational coach. And she works with companies, she works with individuals on how to become the best version of yourself and how to bring out the best of your brand so that you invoke the right emotions in companies and to your customers so that they buy from you. So Kelly, if you'd like to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Hi, Prash. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so I work with individuals and groups as well as companies. Basically, what you said there too is also being the best version of yourself, bringing out the best in yourself, becoming and being and creating the life you want. And working with companies, it's also about creating a powerful, memorable brand that will stand out, that people will remember. Uniting their employees. Also, I do a lot of that kind of work with companies. But also just individuals, one-to-one is a big part of what I do, and it's so much about creating a fulfilling life, going for what you want, going for what lights you up, and creating that and stepping into your personal power. Working with executive teams, groups, to create a brand that is memorable, something that's lasting, something that stands out. It's also working with teams and creating a united front with their employees as well.
Now, this aspect of branding in particular, this could be applied to dating, because when a man approaches a woman, in those 30 seconds or the minute, in fact the first 30 seconds, she's going to decide whether she wants to continue that interaction or not. So in a way it's it's like a show reel where you're putting your best foot forward and your brand in terms of how you are, in terms of your personality and how you come across.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think we could say that in any situation in life, really, encountering any new situation, but especially dating, because dating is something where people are often nervous, apprehensive, don't feel they can just be themselves, and wanting to be, their very best when first meeting someone and making a great first impression. So it is really important to think about how you're presenting yourself and what is your personal brand, and who are you coming to the table, actually. So I work with a lot of clients, and the transformation is often about creating the lives that they want, which also involves having the relationship they want, and having a fulfilling romantic life.
Absolutely. And when you touch upon branding, because branding involves how you make somebody feel, because when people buy something, they buy into the emotions rather than the logic. And it's a similar thing with women when it comes to attraction, is that if you can stimulate the right emotions within them, you have attraction rather than using logic. So you can't really negotiate with them or persuade them or talk them into liking. It's all about the emotions that you inject, which is linked to branding in some
right.
sense.
I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. I think it's interesting because men and women are different in how they approach dating and how they approach their romantic lives. But I think ultimately, because I work with many clients too, in terms of that's an aspect of it. It's creating, getting the relationship you want is part of creating the life you want. And I think what I can say for men is often that, if you're not getting, for some reason, if you're not attracting the partner you want, or you're struggling with dating, I always say go back to yourself. Start with yourself, because that's where it all starts. So rather than trying to be something you're not, actually get really in touch with what you want in your life and the kind of partner that you want to attract. So what are your values? What are your passions? And sit down and make a list of those if it's something you've never done. I encounter people often who have never actually put that much concrete thought into it. Just have the general idea. or have their list, you know. And I don't know that's something women do, something that men do, maybe not as often. But look at, what do you want? Who are you actually? And often the kind of person you want to attract will have a lot in common with you. So, you know, look at those passions, those values of that are important to you, and, you know, wanting to attract that person, you know, be more of that yourself in order to meet a similar, like-minded kind of person that you have the chance actually of having a successful relationship with.
Absolutely, and it's very important that you make a list of what characteristics that you want, because that also puts you in the mode of a buyer rather than the seller, and it also show the woman that you're not just willing to settle for anybody and just fill that hole in for something that you're missing. So you're going much more deeper rather than surface level.
Right. I mean, in anything at surface level, you know, you're going to get what you put into it, you know. So if you want something that's sort of a superficial type interaction, then you're going to get that if you don't put too much thought into it. Or you might keep attracting the wrong kinds of women, in this case for men, and thinking about, you know, why is that happening? You know, I'm in a good place, so why am I attracting these types of partners that aren't right for me? So I think going deeper, absolutely, as you said as well, is looking at that, and that's what I do with clients, is look at going deeper, looking at, you know, who you are, what do you want, what is the kind of life that you create, what lights you up, what makes you feel alive, and I think, and just having that confidence, which I think is you're relating to the idea of, you know, being in a buyer position rather than a seller, is having that confidence. And I think when you're in a good place yourself, and and it's genuine, it's authentic, actually, that kind of, you know, natural charm, natural charisma, natural confidence comes across.
And I think this is also linked with this thing about clarity. J.B. Smart talks about this, about having clarity, that the more detailed you go in terms of what you want within something, and in this perspective of dating, then in that way you can be a lot more successful. Because when you're a lot more specific, like say for example, if you want a woman that's into traveling, but then into traveling with hiking on the hills or in mountains,
right,
that itself can be even much more effective as well, because it's something authentic and unique to you, and what ignites your soul and what gets you excited, and if you can relate that to her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be a great way to meet the kind of person, like-minded person. So just getting involved in activities, you know, join a meetup group, doing something you love, take a course, doing something, take a cooking class, take, you know, hiking or climbing, or, you know, whatever it is that appeals to you, get involved in that, you know. I think that's a great way to also authentically meet people with similar passions, which then you're more likely to actually find a spark and something that could last, something that could actually create a meaningful, fulfilling relationship too.
Well, I think a task we can give the guys out there that are watching is that make a list of, should we say 20 things? And they have to be specific on what they like, non-physical characteristics that they want in their ideal woman.
Yeah, I think 10 is probably, to be honest, I think.
Should we go with 10? What about 15? Should we meet halfway?
Okay, let's go with 15. Let's go
Negotiation there.
Yeah, 15 is good, yeah.
We made 15, right. Yeah, so in the comments below, write 15 characteristics that you want in your ideal woman, non-physical. I think this will give them some extra clarity. Even if they just write it down.
Yeah, values, passions, you know, what do you value? Is it, you know, living with integrity, having confidence, being authentic, being fulfilled, having fun, you know, whatever things are important to you in your life, write those things down. And then you're more likely to, when you get clear on that yourself, you're more likely to attract actually a similar person, similar like-minded person.
It's very interesting that when it comes to personal development and all of this stuff, it all has to come back to your what and your why, because there's a lot of them where you high-five them and they motivate you and you get pumped up, but this really is the core, and this is when you really go deep, when you focus your what and your why.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of actually clarifying it, your what and your why. And it's also, you know, leaning into life, you know, embracing life. And, you know, essentially, I always say to clients to be the person you want to attract as well. So be that person, you know, rather than say kind of looking outward and saying, these are all the qualities, why aren't I getting that? Well, are you that way yourself? Are you that way yourself? So I think when you are genuinely that way, embody that, those qualities, those characteristics, the things you actually want in a partner, you're much more likely to then naturally attract that like-minded person.
Yeah, absolutely. So for somebody that's struggling to find that special someone, or struggling to approach a woman that doesn't have that confidence to do that, from a transformative coach perspective, what things could they do to get started, to start on that journey?
Yeah, I would say for me, the starting place for me is always with yourself. So getting to be in a place of self-love, creating the life you want, I think, and at least being, it's not like you have to have everything sorted in your life before you can then attract actually the right partner. I think often it's just like getting at least be on the journey. Work with someone, hire a coach, get some help, if you're struggling yourself. I think it's really important to have a support network and have that support system on the road to creating the life you want, and part of that is getting the relationship you want. So feeling alive, feeling in a good place yourself, being happy with all areas of your life, at work, at home, in your personal self, your professional self, feeling fulfilled. So I would say, looking inward and working first on yourself, really kind of then, I think, naturally you'll start meeting more the right kinds of people, right kinds of women in this case, and you'll be attracting that when you're in a better place yourself. So if you are struggling yourself to attract the right kinds of people, that's generally not a good time to start dating. I advise people, if you're struggling personally, take a break from dating, and then work with a coach, work, take some courses, join some groups, do things that inspire you, where you can learn and grow yourself and get to a really good place in yourself, where you then look forward to dating. Dating should be fun. You should be excited about going out to meet someone for the first time, not thinking anything negative about it, or just not having that enthusiasm thinking about going out and meeting someone new. So getting to that first place in yourself that feels good, where you feel like you are stepping into your personal power, really, and feeling like you have that confidence to then be excited about going out and dating. Yeah. Absolutely.
And do you know what? Funny enough, when they stop actively looking for someone and dating, and they start focusing on other areas of their life, guess what would happen? Women will actually start approaching them. Because quite often, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you're not caring about what someone is saying, or whether or not you fancy that person or not, automatically they start resonating towards you, rather than when you go up to someone and you actively try and attract them, or try and put on some sort of a persona with the hope that they're going to be attracted to you. Like, I'll give you a personal story. So I was cleared out of my account £1,000, and I went to work, so I was doing fundraising for a charity, and I was at this Tesco shop, because we were going to various different stores carrying out campaigns. Now, I wasn't thinking about dating at that time. I was thinking about this fraud that I'd gone through and persuading people to sign up for the campaign. And guess what? 2 women that were working there were giving me indicators of interest. This one girl in particular, who started her afternoon shift, she kept coming back and forth every 5 minutes to come and chat to me. But it wasn't on my mind. I did not try and how do I explain it? When I was interacting with her, I didn't have in my mind, I want to attract this girl or not, because I wasn't interested in it at all. So I wasn't looking for her at the time. And she was the one swarming herself to me. So when you don't care, so when you don't care, everything changes in that way.
Yeah, I think in a way when you're not, first of all, I think when you're just in a place yourself, you're in a good place yourself, and you're focused on other things in your life, and you're just living. Yeah. You're busy living. You don't have all that apprehension and all that nervousness, and it's not sort of, you're going into a situation where you're meeting new people, and it's very natural. You're very much yourself. And I think actually that's the most attractive thing, is actually when we are just authentically ourselves, and we can just be that. And I think that's when it's most attractive. So that's a great example and a great story of a situation where you're just being yourself, actually. At an event, doing something you're passionate about, and you're just, attracting these women and quite naturally, and weren't even thinking about it. We weren't even going there thinking, hey, I want to maybe I can meet someone. So you're just being yourself. And I think that's a very good point, and it is very powerful, actually, when we feel confident in being ourselves. And that's a very attractive thing for women and for men.
Because when they're interacting with a woman with the hope of trying to get a number from them or get them to like them, she's going to come across that as weird, because there's those little signals and energy and vibrations that you give off that draws her away. Whereas when I was just living then and just doing my thing, being my normal goofy self, they're all throwing themselves at me.
Yeah.
But getting a go at that time, because I was at £1,000 in my overdraft, was the last thing on my mind.
Yeah. You were preoccupied, and you were at an event doing something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And, what I would say about that too is, it doesn't. You're not in a situation where, let's say, you're at a bar, where women might expect that. Oh, okay, here's this guy, he's approaching me. Okay, we know what the drill is here. And maybe they don't even give him a chance for whatever reason. They don't think he's attractive enough, the way he's dressed, the way he's presenting himself, what he's drinking, all of those, factors. Whereas in a social situation like this, a charity event, or if you join a running club, or you're at a group, or you're in a shop, or, any of these situations where it's just we're going about our lives and we're just living, we're just being ourselves, then I think something else it's more relaxed. And I think in that situation, it allows women and men, to just be themselves and actually just speak to each other. And they're there for another purpose. They're not there to meet someone or to pick someone up, or, so there's not that pressure, actually. And I think then everyone's guards are down, everyone's just more relaxed and feels they can just be themselves. So it's actually a much better environment to genuinely meet someone that you actually might connect with and have a real connection with, rather than just something superficial or just a physical attraction, and then you go out on a couple of dates and you realize, oh, we don't actually have that much in common, or this person, what are we going to talk about? Whereas actually you meet at an event that is, you're there for, you both have an interest in whatever that is that you're doing, or you're both very passionate about that. You have lots to talk about. You have lots to share. So, I always say it's a much better way to meet someone, is actually doing things that you love. Just do what you love, and you'll meet someone that way.
Absolutely. And work on yourself as well at the same time. Start from yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where it all starts, really.
Yeah.
And being in a place of approving of yourself, not looking for someone else to validate you, but you already being in a place where you're in a good place. And then it's, in that sense, it's someone adding to your life rather than someone filling a void in your life. And I think that makes a huge difference in terms of the, success or potential, even to start with, of having a successful, loving, fulfilling relationship.
Yeah, great. So other than starting on themselves, and once they get that cleared up, when they want to go and approach women and speak to them, because at the same time, here's the clash. They want to find someone, but at the same time, if they try too much, it's going to draw them away. Where can they then have that balance? I'll rephrase that. Where can they maintain that balance so they don't come across as too hard, but at the same time they're still going for what they want?
So they don't come across as too aggressive or too determined. Is that what you mean?
Are they determined?
Too determined.
So that she doesn't feel like, oh, this guy's trying to pick me up. And
right.
It's that pressure, that element of putting pressure.
Well, I think women, I think if it's someone they find attractive, I think it can be very nice to have the attention for a man to show interest in women. I think women like that. I think we like that. But of course, it's that sort of fine balance. Someone has to be in the right place and feel receptive to that attention. That's why I think a good, a social gathering. Or an event, or you're both there for a purpose that you care about, something that so it's genuine, it's authentic, And I think also the more you work on yourself in terms of personal development, personal growth, when you're in a good place yourself, you're also more aware, you also have a better sense of personal boundaries as well as respecting other people's boundaries. So you're just more aware of that. And I think the more conscious you become of that, the more aware you're going to sense that someone, okay, this person has given me signals, this woman has sort of given me the signal to kind of back off, or, maybe I'll approach her in another moment, or maybe I'll just, give that a miss, but you just become more aware of your own, also how you're feeling. So kind of being able to check in with yourself and say, what's my motivation here? Is it aligned with actually what I want? Am I having a bad day? Is now a good time to be going on a date or be approaching people at this event? So that's a really good gauge, actually, when you get more in touch with yourself and you can actually check in with where you're at, how you're feeling, and what's motivating you. And that also comes across. And people pick up on that, and women especially will tune into that, and the place a man's in and where he's coming from, and whether he's being authentic. So that's a big factor and a big turn-off. It can be very attractive, and if they're not being authentic, it can be a big turn-off as well. So I think that's a really good thing I would suggest, a bit of advice, is really check in with yourself and say, okay, what's my motivation here? How am I feeling? What's going on with me? Before you even think about approaching a woman. And then, how then it'll be more natural, more authentic.
Absolutely. And going back to you were talking about self-love. So when someone gets rejected, I think what happens is that they attach meaning to it and they personalize it. So that means that they're self-sabotaging themselves. How can self-love decrease the effect of that? So they don't self-sabotage themselves.
That's a great question, actually, because I think a lot of creating the lives we want actually comes down to how we feel about ourselves ultimately. And are we being loving to ourselves? Are we being kind to ourselves? I always say to my clients too, how would you treat your best friend in a situation like that? How would you talk to your best friend who just got rejected or had a horrible dating experience? How would you talk to them? How you would console them. You would be kind to them. You'll say, don't worry about it. You're great. You're amazing. Remember that. That wasn't the right person for you. It's okay. You're amazing. That was about them, actually, and being able to recognize whatever stuff they had going on, whatever they brought to the table, whatever was going on with them that particular moment, had nothing actually to do with you. And just to remember that. And I think, so being kind to ourselves, being aware of self-talk as well, and, kind self-talk. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself a break. So I think that actually goes a really long way, is in terms of being caring, being kind to yourself, treating yourself with self-love, self-care, the same way you would for someone you really care about.
Absolutely. I really like that. In fact, that can be a really good tool with anything if you're facing a challenge in your life. What advice would you give to your best friend? Yeah.
It's really something to remember, because we often, have this negative self-talk chatter that goes on quite unconsciously throughout most of our day, actually. And if we stop, check in, and actually notice the self-talk, and if there is something negative going on there, just flip it around, change it to something really positive and really encouraging, and you'll start seeing those shifts in your life and actually getting more of the results you want. People respond to you differently when you're in a positive mindset and being kind to yourself. So it's a really, really, I would say, fundamental step in terms of creating the life you want, and from that, chances of having a successful relationship.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. So before we move on to our Q&A, we're going to be hitting the streets of London to find out whether you should French kiss or a peck on the cheek at the end of the day. So let's find out the opinion from the ladies. So stay right there.
folks, so we're back at it again, this time in the London Bridge area, to ask those ladies exactly what it is that they want on the first date, and maybe more. Let's go check it out. So, after the first date, should you French kiss or just give a peck on the cheek?
I think it definitely French kiss after the first date. There's an element of chemistry that you can find out from French kissing that you can't find from a kiss on the cheek. So,
But have you done that? Has it gone so bad on a date for you that you've just said, you know what,
definitely.
I'll be kind and just give him...
I don't even think I'll give him that. I think that if it's nothing, then you don't get a kiss on the cheek. You don't get a French kiss.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But out of 10, most times, is it a French kiss then? Do you think it's
I think that
appropriate?
if you kind of like somebody, you go in for the French kiss.
And even if you don't think that the relationship will last, maybe it's just a one-time thing, it's still okay?
Maybe if you're like not 100% sure, but it's like the last try, you go for it and you see if there's a little something more than just the surface.
Try to reel them in. If it doesn't work, it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you very much then. So, after the first date, would you rather French kiss or just give a peck on the cheek?
Probably a peck on the cheek, just because French kisses a lot, even if the first date went well.
Have you done so before? Or maybe just thought about French kissing on the first date?
No, but I know my current boyfriend, he kissed me when I was very drunk on our first date.
Okay. Yeah. Well, do you think that it would have been better if it was just a peck on the cheek? Or, well, he's your boyfriend now, so I guess it worked out.
I mean, it was a sweet kiss. It wasn't like crazy, but it was like, nice.
Super. Thank you very much. So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or just give a peck on the cheek?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think if it went really well, French kiss, nice way to set things off. But if it didn't go that well, a peck on the cheek, if that.
Oh, okay. Have you had dates where it hasn't even been a peck on the cheek, or even a hug, just a shake of the hand, goodbye?
Yeah, just literally walking away. Bye.
And have you had dates where you thought, yeah, French kiss is okay?
Yeah, a couple.
Even if you don't think the person is sort of the one, but the night went well?
Yeah, I think it's a bit difficult to judge after just one date. But if you want to see them again, it's not always a bad thing to do.
Super. Thank you very much. So after the first date, would you rather give a French kiss or a peck on the cheek?
Peck on the cheek.
And why is that?
I think a peck on the cheek is a bit too early as well, but because I only have two options, because I don't want to appear as cheap. That's like old-fashioned belief where you need to be hard to get, and I don't have to be straightforward and just take things slow and to see if this person wants just to be physical or this person is genuine.
So even if you feel a strong attraction to this person, you'd still be able to withhold the need to maybe kiss them or get close to them on the first date?
Yes, because it's important, because I don't know this person's motive, but I know mine, so I could just get myself into the wrong situation. Yeah.
But you would meet them again afterwards, even if it was just ending in a hug or in a handshake. You'd be willing to meet them after again.
Definitely, I would. Yeah.
Super. Thank you very much. So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or give a peck on the cheek?
I would rather kiss on the cheek.
Kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
No French kissing.
No, I think it's not right.
It doesn't matter maybe if you have strong feelings for the other person, or maybe this is the one you would always rather.
It doesn't matter.
Always, that's sort of your set line. Yeah. And would you want to see them again, even if you don't give them even a kiss on the cheek?
It doesn't depends.
It depends on how it goes on the first date. Okay. All right. And maybe a hug afterwards or a handshake? Or it depends how bad the situation is. Maybe you just...
No, handshake is too bad. No, not a handshake.
All right, super. Thank you very much. So, after the first date, would you rather French kiss or just give a peck on the cheek?
It really depends if I enjoyed the date. So, if the atmosphere and everything is like perfect, then I wouldn't mind a French kiss. But if it's just like a quick drop off at my house, I'd be like, I'll just a peck on like a lips or on a cheek.
And have there been instances where you didn't even want to give a peck on the cheek?
Yeah. Yeah.
And were those because maybe you were uncomfortable, but you still wanted to see the person afterwards? Would you give them a second chance? Maybe it wasn't the right date, maybe they were nervous as well?
It's more like there was no chemistry, and I was kind of forced into the date. So I was just like, oh, okay, there's nothing really here. Don't want to see it afterwards, so just,
And have you French kissed on the first date?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Do you think that it's important then to sort of withhold yourself and see what happens, or just go for it and see what happens on the first date?
I wouldn't mind, like, 'cause, like, I just French kiss and then just like said my byes to them. So, and then from then on, you kind of showed them that you were interested for another date. So it kind of made it easier for them to approach you again for a second date. Yeah.
Okay, cool, super. Thank you very much. So, after the first date, would you rather French kiss or give a peck on the cheek?
Probably a peck on the cheek.
Okay, are there any circumstances that would dictate otherwise?
Ooh, good question. I don't know for sure. Maybe if he's like really treated me well, like maybe reward it.
And if you happen to just give a peck on the cheek, would you be willing to go on a second date with the guy? Because maybe the first one just wasn't...
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think if I take it that far, then I'm willing to pursue it further, hopefully.
And have you done something less than a peck of the cheek? So maybe a hug or maybe just a handshake?
Yeah, that would work. Just to simply handshake him away. But yeah,
just
no.
Direct and out of the way.
Yeah.
Do you think that it matters that some people maybe go too far on the first date? Or
No, not at all. I think it's very much up to each person, and if they want to go that far. I mean, a number of people have one-night stands and stuff. It's very much up to what people want to do.
Preference-wise, then?
Yeah, very much their own preference. Yeah.
Super. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or give a peck on the cheek?
Depends on the vibe. If I don't like them, then probably not even a peck.
Oh, straight for the handshake, or just a pat on the back.
Handshake, yeah.
And have you French kissed on the first date before?
No. I don't even think I pecked on the first date either.
And was that just a personal choice, or was it because it just wasn't working out with the person?
It just wasn't working out.
Did you end
I
up...
dropped them off in the car and the vibe wasn't there.
Would you, hypothetically speaking, give them a second chance if the first date wasn't okay and you said, you know what, you're not even getting a handshake, but then you thought, well, maybe there's something there. Would you give them a second chance?
Yeah, go home and think about it. And then, yeah, maybe.
Super. Thank you very much.
It's all right.
So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or give a peck on the cheek?
A peck on the cheek.
Always?
Not always, just if I really like the guy or not.
And do you think that sometimes you would give just a handshake or maybe a pat on the back or nothing?
Nothing.
Have you given a French kiss before on the first date?
No, never.
You wouldn't be open to it either, even if it's the one? No, keep them guessing.
Because then it's just like, I know what he will want to try to do, and I'm just like,
And if it went horribly wrong on the first date, so no kissing afterward at all, would you still be willing to give them a second chance if you feel that there might have been a spark there?
Yes, I will.
You would?
I will.
Super.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or just give a peck on the cheek?
Depends on the person. I think that if you can establish a contact, like a bond, maybe French kiss. But if not, just a peck in the cheek or nothing.
And have you French kissed on your first date before?
Yes.
Yes,
I did.
Good. And hypothetically speaking, if the whole night was just terrible and you didn't even give them a handshake, it was just bye. But you felt a sort of like a little spark. Would you be willing to give them a second chance and go on a second date?
Yes, of course, because I think that's all of us can have a bad day or something. So why not?
Super. Thank you very much. So after the first date, would you rather French kiss or give a peck on the cheek?
On the cheek.
Why is that?
I don't know, because I may not know the person, and I don't want, we never know. So
is that sort of your rule, always to?
It's my rule. Like I can't give more than my cheeks.
Does it matter if you feel a strong attraction to the person, you always want to?
Yeah, it's my rule.
It's sort of
it's the way I am. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. And that's it for today, guys. Back to the studio.
Okay, welcome back. I hope that was helpful from the ladies. So now, for those of you that have sent the questions, and thank you very much for sending them in. I've got them up here. I'm just being a bit green here, not using the paper, so I'm just viewing them from my phone. So right, let's get into the Q&A now. And we'll get a lady's opinion as well. So my first question comes from Telly, from Augusta in Maine, from the US, that I'm losing my hair and I'm balding and I'm self-conscious about it. What can I do? So he's approaching women, but because he's balding, he's a little bit doubtful about his attractiveness, because it's quite a major change that men go through.
Yeah,
So-
no, definitely. Well, I think with anything like that, where it's feeling like, oh, I'm a bit overweight at the moment, I'm losing my hair, going through some health struggles, anything like that that will be affecting your physical appearance, that you're not feeling quite as confident, I would say actually it's not the right moment to go out there and date. I think it's better rather to do something that gets you grounded and centered with yourself so you're feeling confident again. So, do something that you find fun. Join a group, join a club, an activity, get involved in an activity, something that will help you to forget completely about what you look like. Or whatever you've got going on with your body and yourself, where you can just have fun with others and meet new people and connect with others. And I think you'll be surprised, many people are very surprised by the effect that will have of just having, getting that kind of natural confidence, feeling confident again, and going out and interacting with new people. So I would recommend sort of starting there and not jumping into dating at that moment.
That's one thing you can do, because it's creating a limiting belief within him that he feels that I'm going to be unattractive to him. So that's going to sharpen his energy. So if you can work on that and get that cleared up and healed from that, he'll be in a much better place.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing that. You could shave it off as well.
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of creating your personal brand, which is really connecting your inner and your outer worlds in a holistic way that comes across, so that you're stepping into your own personal power, and that shines through. That radiates absolutely very powerfully. So, that's one thing I think you could look at from an aesthetic point of view. Is something, maybe he could just shave it, and maybe that will be a new look for him. And maybe something will take some time and some adjustment, but maybe will give him a confidence rather than going through the painful process of looking at it every day and losing it.
Well, I think we could probably hit the streets and ask those questions to the ladies as well when the next hit the show. So that's still a special gift from me, Tally.
Yeah.
So we'll get the ladies' opinion on whether bolder men are more attractive than ones that are thinning, and hopefully that can help you out. There are some things which you can do if you are losing your hair. So there's a medication called finasteride, which is prescribed from a doctor. However, there have been some side effects from that, so I'd stay away from that. Saw palmetto is really good. That creates this same effects as finasteride. So what it does, male pattern baldness is caused by a hormone called DHT, which is produced in your testicles and the prostate gland, which is a more potent version of testosterone, and it happens to have an effect on your scalp and on your frontal hairline. So the medication finasteride reduces it, however it does cause some other complications. Saw palmetto does that, and at the same time also increases your sex drive and fertility. Changing your diet as well, so processed foods, get rid of them, have more zinc, have more iron, selenium, magnesium, because I've been doing that and I've noticed a difference myself.
Right, well, I mean, it might be a good idea to see a naturopathic doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Or a herbalist.
I always recommend that as well. Yeah.
A herbalist. Headstands, because it reduces the blood flow. There's some yoga exercises.
Oh, right, yoga.
So,
yeah.
Headstands, you can do that, so it'll increase the blood flow to the brain and increase the nutrients. So yeah, I hope that helps, and tune in one of our shows. We'll ask the ladies some opinion whether bolder men are more attractive or not. So yeah, hope that helps, Telly. So the next question is from Rocky from Islamabad in Pakistan. I suffer from depression after breaking up from a 5-year relationship. Any ideas on how to overcome it without medication? We're just talking about natural cures.
Yeah.
So clients that have depression, because depression is when they feel low, when they feel down, they feel worthless. So low sense of self-esteem, loss of interest in life.
Yeah. Well, I would say that is something to look at getting some help with, some support around, definitely, in order to make a shift. So it depends on, I mean, if it's something, how severe that is as well. And, you know, is he able still to function in his everyday life? And something he just doesn't feel excited about life or enthusiastic about going out and meeting a woman, then, you know, I think that's an absolutely, again, a good place is to start with yourself, and getting to that place where you can get back to feeling excited about life, and look at, you know, what are your passions? What excites you? You know, why is that not in your life, and how can you get some of that back into your life? So I think that's a great starting place, is looking at that. You know, sign on for a few sessions with a coach, and get some support around that, definitely.
Yep, so getting a coach, even just, I know this might sound a bit harsh, but just get off your backside and just do something. Just that. Things that you've been meaning to do for a while and haven't done. Because again, you're reconnecting with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the starting place, is actually to start feeling excited about life again, is, you know, think back to when you were younger. You know, what were things you loved? And if you don't have those things in your life anymore, why don't you? So, you know, find a way to have activities, hobbies, passions, you know, and do them for yourself, not for someone else. Be doing them for you, you know, being just kind to you. It's a great place to start.
Yeah, cutting down on sugar would help as well. I read there's a recent study published that if you cut down on sugar, sugar's responsible for mood swings.
Yeah.
Because it's to do with the fluctuations in the level of cortisol, which is your stress hormone.
Right. Yeah, well, diet is a big part of it. So sort of being healthy in mind and body is actually very important. You know, it's not just one or the other. I think actually taking care of your body as well as your mind, and your state of mind is they work together. They work hand in hand.
Absolutely. And exercise as well releases endorphins, serotonin,
again,
dopamine, which are feel-good hormones. Motion creates emotion.
Yes, that's actually very true. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so hope that helps, Rocky. So next question is from Mohammed from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, who says, how do I not be boring on dates? So he doesn't want to be boring.
Okay.
Or maybe he's been told that by some women. So that's some feedback. So he's taken that feedback on and he wants to work on it. So, yeah.
You know, again, it comes back to this thing about, you know, what genuinely excites you in life, right? Because then it comes across as completely, when you're talking about something you're excited about and something you love, it's absolutely apparent to the other person. And it's a pleasure to listen to as well when you hear someone talking about something they love, they're passionate about. So again, if you don't have that passion in your life, or you're not excited about life, then you definitely don't want to be dating. Now is not the time to be dating. Take a break from dating, and reconnect with yourself, and take up a hobby, something you used to love to do that you've let go, or try something new that you've been wanting to do for ages, and start doing that as a way to also meet new people. And you'd be surprised at the kind of connections you might meet and make while doing something you love. But also just it creates opportunities for you to talk about yourself in a way that's really genuine and authentic and excited about life. And then guaranteed you won't be boring on a date, definitely.
Yeah, so connect and really look at things that you're passionate about. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What do you laugh? What do you laugh at? And really connect with those and really tap into those, because they'll feel that. Because there's this theory of emotional contagion, or the law of state transference, that what you feel, someone else feels. So I'm passionate about cars. I can talk about it all day, and I'm sure when I talk to you about it, you're going to feel that as well from me, and you get to experience that as well. And
and it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have an interest in cars. No. It can just be that listening to you talk about how excited you are about something you love has my interest. Actually, you've now got my attention. And I think that that's something very kind of raw and basic in all of us as human beings, is that kind of intuitive connection of passion, this like flow of energy, of exchange, of things that make us feel alive. I think it's something that we can all relate to.
Yeah. Another thing as well is that you can take a genuine interest in her as well on the date. So ask open questions about her. So say, for example, she just had a session in scuba diving. Boom, that's something you can take and talk about. Even that's something you're not interested in. You can ask her, what do you enjoy about it? What do you love so much about it? If she's passionate about it, she'll talk about that and she'll open up to you. That's about creating that deep connection with someone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's it's a good skill to have in general, and I think a great way to connect and have a deeper connection with people is talking about things that are important to them. Talking about the weather or the traffic or those are things that they aren't very meaningful at the end of the day. So, ask your date about things that are important to her that she may have mentioned. And give her an opportunity to expand and share herself, and guarantee that will create a really nice atmosphere and a good energy between the two of you.
Yeah, because when you talk about something that you're interested in, you're speaking from the heart. That's when you're connecting, and it makes it a deeper level connection rather than a surface level connection.
Oh yeah, and I mean even if it's you don't end up having a second date, but just so nice to actually have a connection and have a great conversation with someone that could be very interesting. Whereas I think if you keep it at this sort of surface level and are afraid to ask a deeper question or a more meaningful question, then you might actually miss out on just learning something from a really interesting person and sharing a great hour of your life and in a nice exchange with someone you wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to share with.
And other questions you can also ask is what's important to you about that? What inspired you to do that activity? What do you enjoy about it? Any funny stories relating to about it? Talk in terms of other people's interest, to be interesting. It's from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
So talk in terms of other people's interest and be interested rather than trying to be interesting. So can you see how you're not being so try hard, and by taking an interest in the other person, you're letting them do the work, you're flipping the script.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
And she would have talked about herself so much that she's going to end up asking you. I've told all, she'll be on the date thinking, oh my God, I've told a lot about myself. What's this guy about? Boom, interest.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually, and an interesting point, because I often tell leaders that I work with that listening is actually the greatest skill of a leader, rather than talking, but listening. So listening is a really, really powerful skill and a great way to connect with your audience, or in this case, the person sitting across from you.
You've got 2 ears in one mouth, that's what your mother said. So yeah, take on the advice she told you as well, guys. Okay, I hope that helps, Mohammed. So next question is from Adrian from York. That is, I still live with my parents. How do I bring back women to mine when I feel it's on? So he's going on dates, feel that it's on, so he wants to pull the trigger when he gets home, but he still lives with his parents.
Right. Well, that might be problematic.
If you're crazy, you may not see the girl again. Disabled toilet, the park. There's a touch and go, there's a risk you're taking if she's that kind of sex crazed woman. I would just say don't escalate to a point where she gets to that stage. Suggest a weekend away.
That's a good idea.
York, so you can come down, take a trip down to London, you can get some cheap hotels. Go down to the countryside if you're a country person. Again, if she's interested in that country person, take a trip down there, have a road trip, hire the car. But then don't make whether or not things are going to happen the prize. Because when things don't happen, he's going to come across quite frustrated. And I made that mistake one time when I took this one Filipino lady to Great Yarmouth. I took her to her and I thought to myself, yes, I'm going to get it, was a green light. But then she said no. And I got frustrated about it. This is before I got into pickup and dating.
Right.
And she felt that.
Right.
And all that attraction, boom, just went down the drain.
For both of you, probably, yeah.
So in terms of bringing it back to hers, so it's okay to do that and to invite, but don't be outcome dependent. I think this comes back to this process of just living and not being outcome dependent.
Yeah.
Where you want something to happen, because when it doesn't happen, you get frustrated. She's going to feel that energy, neediness. She'll be out the door.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest turn off when it comes to women, is neediness and desperation, which is what you can feel as well, can't you? When a guy is needy, when he approaches you, when he speaks to you, like he wants something from you, rather than just enjoying and having that take it or leave it attitude.
Well, yeah, it's a bit like, anything you do in life, and I think kind of, the energy you're giving off, if you just genuinely give someone, a random stranger a compliment because you really love their scarf and you think it looks great on them, I think someone really feels that, and that's genuine. You're not doing it to get anything back. It's completely unconditional. Whereas I think when you're acting from a place of, I need or want something from you, so I'm going to give to get, it's a very different vibe that comes across, and not very attractive, I think, for anyone, for men or women. So like you said, being outcome dependent and saying I'm going to give in order to get something is never a good place going into any situation.
Not at all. So I hope that helps, Adrian. So yeah, if you want to be crazy, park, disabled toilet, but beware that you may not see the woman again. Suggest a weekend away. If you're a city person, Manchester's not far from you. It's got a very New York vibe, Manchester.
I haven't been.
Do you know the streets, and you have these little alleys in the city centre, and you've got these tall buildings? It felt like that. They call it UK's Manhattan, and Trafford Centre, which is the second biggest shopping centre in the whole of the UK. It's just got this wow factor to it. So if you're a city person, you can take away to Manchester. Got Liverpool, home of the Beatles. In fact, there was on the coast, there was a statue of the 4 Beatles, and there were people queuing up there just to get photos there.
Really?
As soon as you walk over there taking a picture, you have to be very quick. There's that. You've got Chester, if you want some country, want some greenery, some countryside, up where you're north. Yorkshire Dales Park, I don't know how far away that is from York itself. But yeah, just take a trip there. Wherever you feel when it comes to going away for a weekend, as you got your parents at home. And just tap into that. What are you passionate about? And take her on that experience. I think the more you live and be in that moment, the thing that he wants, obviously wants to have sex, that'll be the byproduct. Because I think sex should be viewed as the byproduct of 2 souls connecting together, rather than making it prize sex, if you know what I mean. That's what I want to be. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's it's like anything in life. There's different kinds of, what's the quality as well of, what you're feeding your body. Is it junk food sex, or is it nourishing, fulfilling? What are you feeding yourself, actually? So, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, too. So I think depends what you're looking for. But, yeah.
Yeah. And so long as he's honest with it, at the same time, like if he just wants to be a player, that's absolutely fine. So long as he's honest with the women and doesn't mislead them in any way, that's fine, because everyone's on their own journey with where it comes.
Yeah.
So different strokes for different folks. Don't diss the hustle. Right, next is from Jonathan from Bangor in Wales. I've been dating this woman for 9 months. Is it the right time to move in with her? I think let's have to assess the relationship, see how well they've been getting on, how well they're communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And just suggest about it, talk about it as if it's no big deal. If you really like her, then why not?
Yeah, it's not something, I can't, tell you what to do in this situation. I think you need to make that decision for yourself and think about how you feel. Do you feel ready, actually, to move in, to share all of that? Because then you no longer have your own space, it's a big decision, but if it feels right, it'll be the right decision. We don't know anything about the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's very hard under the circumstances with limited information. But, look at yourself, look at how you feel. If you're feeling excited about that, or if you're feeling apprehensive. Always write down things, I think, is a great way I would suggest. To look at, what are the pros, what are the cons, how are you feeling, and just be able to get some perspective on, the decision, like any big decision you would make.
And also, if he hasn't been away on a weekend with her, suggest a weekend away with her, so then she can get to experience what it's like to live with him.
Yeah, or take a trip together. Traveling is always a great way to see how you get on with someone, how you kind of live with someone when you travel with someone. So if you haven't done a big trip, I would definitely recommend taking a big trip before moving in.
And even if a weekend away or 2 nights away, just a day trip. So he lives in Wales, so he could go to Snowdon, which is a little bit further down. You could go to Cardiff or to Swansea, or any of the places around in Wales. Just take a day trip with her.
Yeah.
See what that's like, and then if that works out well, he can go to York, where Adrian is, might bump into him. I don't know. We could come down to London as well, see what that's like, and then afterwards maybe go to Paris, and then you just naturally get a feel for it, won't you?
Yeah. I think you need to. We don't know anything about how much time they've spent together, but traveling is a great way. Doing, something that takes you both out of your comfort zone, and experiencing that together is a great way to test that out, test the waters.
Yeah, and Jonathan, if you feel some doubt when you want to ask her this to her, just say it unapologetically. Just say it as if it's no big deal, because if he's got that uncertainty that she may reject him, then that's going to make the woman feel uncomfortable. So again, emotional contagion, what you feel, she will feel. Has to say it with certainty, but then he also has to have a take it or leave it attitude, because you need to have that patience as well, because she may not be ready for it.
Yeah.
She may have other things that have gone on in her life, meaning that she may want to take it a bit slowly. So if he really likes this woman,
yeah, I say just sit down and have a real conversation together.
Yeah.
I mean, you're two human beings, you're two people that care for each other. Express your needs, your wants with each other, and be able to have that kind of mutual respect, because if that mutual respect and understanding is not there to start with, guaranteed that will be very problematic. Sharing a home together, sharing a space together, those foundational kind of fundamental I think viewpoints, being able to share your viewpoints, being able to share who you are, or it's just basics, basic, I think, skills, tools that you'd be able to use in the relationship just to be yourself. And if you don't feel you can express yourself or what you're feeling or what your needs are, being the man or the woman, I think that's very, that makes it very difficult to be able to have good communication in any relationship.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I hope that helps, Jonathan. Okay, so next is from Maz in Birmingham. So how do I stand out from other men? Okay.
Yeah.
Need a little bit more clarity with that
I
question.
feel like we need more information with that question. There's lots of ways to stand out, but
really own and just really, really be unapologetic about your passions and your interests and your beliefs. Don't try and copy or be like somebody else to try and be with the crowd.
Be authentic. Be yourself.
Authenticity.
That's the most powerful tool you can ever have or acquire, is just being yourself, actually.
Just really connect deeply with what he's really interested in and just stand for it, own it.
Yeah,
Be
definitely.
like, I'm a fucking rock star with that.
Yeah, I say own who you are. That's,
Yeah.
It's very, very important. And, who you are is not negotiable. Lots of other things can be negotiable, but not who you are. So I think when you get to that place of, or you're in that place, or you feel you're in that place, I think anything's possible, and you don't want to attract the kinds of people that won't respect your needs and wants anyway. So that's how you stand out, actually, is by owning what's important to you and being yourself, but being powerful, being yourself and being powerful. Yeah.
Well, one time there was this video I saw of this woman that shaved her head, and she was saying that if you go in with the energy that, hey, Queen looks good, or I'm a rock star, it's just going to radiate that amazing energy that she's going to feel, and that's just going to draw people into her, rather than having that uncertainty about something. So getting rid of any uncertainties.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, I hope that helps, Maz. So next one is from Sanjay from Oadby in Leicester. I've been dating this girl from uni for a month, but she has started texting and speaking to this other guy. I'm worried about if anything is going on between these two. What do I do? So he's met a woman, been dating her for a month at his university, but then he has found that she is speaking to that other guy and been texting her. But then we don't know if that's a friendship thing. I think he's getting a bit paranoid. He's very overprotective.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be in.
No.
Because then he's not being in his personal power and not coming from a place of authenticity. He's coming from a place of, fear, not from a place of love. And the two can't, coexist. It's either one place or the other at any one given time. So, if he really has some concerns about the nature of their interactions or finds it too intimate or is wondering, then just ask her. Just ask her, what's going on? Is there anything going on with you and this other person? Maybe they're a group of friends and it's mutual friends and they're acquaintances, or how it is in university, it's lots of groups of friends hanging out. So there's a lot of that and there's a lot of overlap. So if you're unsure, just ask her. Just ask her what's going on there, and why would she be honest with you? She has no reason not to be honest with you if you have a good connection and you trust her. So just ask her. Yeah.
We can make a joke out of it, see a funny side of it. Because another thing as well is that if if it's not official, because if they've been going out for a month,
Right,
there's nothing
it's-
stopping him speaking to other women as well at the same time, unless it's official and you have that conversation.
Right, exactly. We don't know how exclusive they are,
Yeah.
what the situation is. So maybe it's a good time, the fact that, you're questioning this and you're wondering, maybe it's a good time to actually have that talk. Maybe, it feels right to you. Are we exclusive? Aren't we? What's going on?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to actually express how you feel, because she will appreciate that.
She will do, and in the end, you won't waste time in dating someone that wasn't leading anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the same time. But then I think, coming from a perspective of that, because it's bothering him, the more he allows it to bother him, he's going to come across that way. So it's better to nip it in the bud.
Well, exactly. That will come, yeah, and then he'll stop, being himself around her, and she'll pick up on that. So maybe he won't be, his normal, happy-go-lucky, he won't be able to enjoy himself as much. So it's better just to have the conversation, actually.
Do you know how funny it is that when they first meet and they come across as this confident alpha, great guy, and then soon over time when you drop your guard, your true colours follow. So which is why it's always essential to work on yourself and get your shit together, so you become the best person that just shows up throughout.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is a very important concept, showing up, how you show up in situations. Are you being yourself when you show up? Meeting someone in a relationship, professionally, at work, on a date, how do you show up? So thinking about that is really important, actually putting some thought into that. And am I being myself? Am I showing up in a way that is aligned with my beliefs and the life I'm creating, that I want to create? So that's a really good question, and something interesting to put some thought into. How do you show up in different situations? Are you proud of? Does that feel good to you? Do you feel good about the way you behaved in the situation, or not, and why, and what was going on for you?
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope that helps, Sanjay. So we've got time for one more?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do one more.
Okay, so last one is Jack from Holborn. Do I need to spend lots of money on expensive designer labels when buying clothes to dress for a date?
Okay, that's a good question. I think that's a good personal branding question.
Yeah.
Thinking about how you present yourself, so to the world in general, more specifically on a date or a woman you'd like to impress. Again, if style is something that's important to you, I think style is something that how we look is a very important part of the world notices, people notice how you present yourself. So I think in a nutshell, I'd say the answer is no. You don't necessarily need really expensive labels. I think developing your own personal style is a very powerful thing, and in a way is your way of communicating who you are to the world. So there are a plethora of so many different kinds of shops you can find, from high street to designer, independent designers, I don't know where you're located, but London, any major cities, you can find basically anything on any budget. You just have to be creative. So if you're on a limited budget as most people are, just be creative in putting things together, but don't ever choose something and buy something and wear something because you think it's going to impress someone else, or when having someone else in mind. Ultimately, think about how it fits you, how it makes you feel. Do you feel good? Do you feel great putting that jacket on, or those great pair of jeans, or those amazing shoes? So think about how you feel wearing something, and put into it basically what feels right for you. And don't spend a lot of money on something if you can't afford it, and you may not even end up liking the clothes you're wearing if you're just trying to impress someone else. So, again, be authentic, buy and choose and create your own personal style, which is much more powerful than just going and buying expensive brand labels and wearing them with the hopes of impressing a woman.
Yeah, I wonder if he has like a section just for the date. So you've got the date shelf and the ordinary shelf. I think one question that Jack can ask himself
That's good.
is
Yeah.
would he wear what he's wearing to a date if there were men involved? If he was just going down with his mates down to the pub?
Right. Well, on that note, he might want to step it up a little bit from, what he's going to wear with his mates at the pub, if he's going on a date with a woman. But maybe, a good way to think about it is, what would you wear to, any special event? I'm not going to say professional, like to a work event, because that might be too formal for a date, right? You want to be relaxed, you want to be casual. But, think about what you feel comfortable in, sort of what you would wear at home, but then, take one or two items and step it up a notch. So wear, a better pair of shoes, put on a better pair of shoes, put on a blazer or a jacket, a shirt that, has a little bit of something extra. That's something you feel good in. I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. What do you put on that you feel, yes, I look good, and I think, and that's a great indicator of what you should wear on a date, actually.
Well, what you could do is you could go to a store, because the female selling assistants within that store are really good. He doesn't have to go to expensive designer places. He can go to some of the
you can always get help.
places. So long as they fit him well, they're not too old and not too tatty, and they suit his skin tone, I'm sure that'll be fine. You can try out a different range of outfits when he goes to these retail outlets. You can take a female friend along with him, or ask the female selling assistants there and just get their opinion. Experiment and look at yourself in the mirror and just see how you feel.
Yeah.
Because again, what you feel, if you feel comfortable in it, the energy that you give off will show up and will give far more weight.
Yeah, definitely. Or, I do a lot of wardrobe with clients as well, and that's a part of personal branding. And, if you're that serious about it, hire an expert. Work with an expert and say, okay, right, I want to develop my personal brand, and this is really important to you. And if it is something important to you, then it's a worthwhile investment, because it improves, your professional life, your personal life, which involves your dating life. You'll have more confidence going out on dates. If you're really struggling that much with it, you can always get help, hire an expert. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, well, I hope that was helpful. For those that send the questions, and thank you very much for that. I hope that's been helpful. And Kelly, thank you for your contribution in relation to that.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been great to be here.
Now, Kelly, if the viewers want to get in touch with you and find out more about what you do, how can they go about doing it?
Right. Well, please check out my website. So it's www.kmtransformational.com. You can also check me out on social media, on Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual suspects. And you can email me also, info@km-ic.com. Drop me an email. I'm always happy to answer your questions. I do a lot of customized work, so if you're someone with specific needs, requirements, I do a lot of that too. Don't be shy, drop me an email, and I'll see what I can do for you. Yeah.
Triple W. I love how you said triple W. Is that a Canadian way?
I didn't even think about it. Yeah, it must be a Canadian thing, yeah.
That's the first, because normally people would just say the website, or just www. But hey, so another way of saying it. Or 3W. Or W3.
3W, that could be kind of trendy. It could be a trendy thing, yeah.
We'll start a trend. Maybe they might start doing that, and all of a sudden do it. I remember when I was at college, I don't know if you've come across any British lingo.
Oh yeah, lots. There's adjustments, I'd say, between the English. Yeah. In all countries, yeah.
Have you heard of the term safe?
Safe.
So when someone says thank you, safe man.
Oh no, I haven't come across that.
Or when you give something to someone in your house, safe man, that means thanks for that. So one day, one guy, he started using the word safage.
Okay.
And guess what happened the very next day?
I don't know.
About 50 people started using that. Safage blood, or safage fam. That's what they started using. So you never know. People may start using it. Was it triple W?
Yeah, triple W. There you go.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching this and being on the show. So if you got any questions or comments, post them in the comments box below. And the exercise we've given you, 15 non-physical characteristics that you want in a woman. If you want to share that in the comments box below or write about it, put it down below.
Or also your values and your passions too. You know, characteristics you want in a partner, but you know, also what are your values and passions?
Yeah.
You know?
Start on that as an exercise. Join me again when I'll be interviewing another expert. And until next time, as what Arash Dibadasar says, be the best and fuck the rest. Bye.
Bye.